Damascus, the world's oldest continuously inhabited city, and for most of the last 50 years, a city living under the discipline of a state-controlled economy.
Opportunity was limited, law was very complicated for investors, and that's why it's people who was coming from abroad to work in Syria. It's like bringing Ferrari and let it run away in a desert.
A move to a more free market was first considered in the 1980s, but the discovery of oil meant that the government could continue business as usual. That oil, though, is now running out.
And with the running out of the oil money, the economy now is being threatened by the shortage of that money, and so the urgency of reform became again very, very important.
The government has reduced marginal taxes on companies from around 90% to under 30%, reduced tariffs on foreign goods by up to 50%, and encouraged competition. It has also relaxed exchange controls.
There is another decision that allows foreign investors to transfer the full value of their investments abroad. They are also allowed to transfer out the interest and the profits they have made throughout their investment.
Perhaps the most visible manifestation of the changes is that middle and upper-class Syrians can now shop in Western-style malls, an unimaginable concept just 10 years ago.
To have a mall, you need to have products to sell in it. There are a lot of products that were not allowed into the country, but now that we have a lot of products and there is more demand in the market, we have started building shopping malls.
One feature of living under a command economy was that the country's family businesses tended to operate in the informal economy. Now the government wants them to legalise their status, but after so long on the fringes, they are now often unwilling to comply with the tax regulations.
These companies are probably valued, their book value is no more than 1% of the actual value. Therefore, when you come out with a huge sum, the first thing that they face them is the fact that they are going to be subject for paying either capital gains tax or income tax, and this they won't like.
The government's answer has been to declare an amnesty on the under-declaration of income and profit, and to offer businesses, if they go public, a basic tax rate of 14%. That said, there is still some suspicion among the country's businessmen.
I believe this is a good movement from the government, but the application is not yet convincing people to over their book 100%.
The most significant change has been to the country's financial system. Private banks were first introduced in 2004, and they have grown rapidly since then. Rattab Shalla is chairman of the Bank of Syria and Overseas. It began operations with just 19 employees.
Now we have 24 branches in Syria, but our staff are now over 470 employees.
Foreign deposits have increased from $500 million in 2005 to more than $4 billion. Syrian deposits are up 2.5 times, and lending has increased by more than 5 times. Syria also now has a stock exchange, albeit one with some cautious regulations on its activities. Rattab Shalla is also chairman of the new exchange.
I will allow him to invest wherever he likes, whatever he likes, no matter what, provided he does not borrow in order to finance his purchase. And he will not be allowed to sell short what he doesn't owe.
One factor, though, affecting the country's potential is that it remains under US sanctions, preventing a more complete integration into the global economy, although the governor of the central bank maintains their impact has been minimal.
Regardless of the pressure we've been under in the recent years, American pressure or any other pressure from any direction, I would like to repeat that the Syrian economy has remained strong, and the Syrian currency and its exchange rate has remained stable.
You can see the new Syria in the mixed-use residential developments springing up outside Damascus. FDI has risen from $400 million in 2004 to $2.1 billion in 2008, while annual GDP growth until the global crisis was around 5%. This year the projection is again for 5%. What the reforms have not achieved is a reduction in the country's high rates of poverty. particularly in the agricultural sector, which makes up 25% of GDP. They have also failed to create enough jobs.
Every year we have about 300,000 new entrants to the labour market, and these new entrants are not being absorbed by the rate of growth that we are achieving at the present time. I think we need about 7 or 8% rate of growth a year.
Corruption too, among all levels of society, is certainly holding back the economy. But the real challenge, according to economists such as Abdul Qadir Huzri, is to tackle the country's government bureaucracy.
It needs, of course, first of all, a paradigm shift in the thinking of the administrative apparatus in the system.
There's no doubt that Syria has changed, but the government needs to step up its programme of reform and bring the country's businesses along with it. Until that happens, a more fundamental and longer-lasting improvement in the country's economic fortunes will still be held up.